Hello, everybody. This episode of Watch and Listen is brought to you by Crown & Caliber, my favorite online watch store. Boy, is there a lot of ways to spend your hard-earned money in that place. But you know what? There isn't just ways to put money in. No. How does Crown & Caliber get that 2,000 watch inventory they keep on hand at all times? From enthusiasts like you. While Crown & Caliber does sell some brand new watches, and they do sell some very old watches, predominantly their stock is a late model but sort of recent watches, and they get them from people like all of you listeners. So if you've got a watch out there that you're trying to turn into cash, or even better, maybe you're trying to upgrade to a newer watch. Maybe you're trying to turn 2 watches or 3 watches into one even doper watch, which I'm considering doing right now as I wear the IWC Perpetual Calendar on my wrist and think about how many watches do I have to send back to Crown & Caliber so that I can keep this one, because I don't want to take it off. I get it. I'm thinking about doing this deal, honestly. And if you are thinking about trading up, trading out, cashing out, Crown & Caliber has you covered for both ends of that deal. There's no, shady parking lot things. There's no forums. There's no, Craigslist. None of that. Just do straight deal. It's all above the board. CrownandCaliber.com. Also, if you haven't used it yet, it's still going, and it's going to keep going. MATT150 is the code. MATT150 will get you $150 off anything in the Crown & Caliber store. Each user can only use it one time, so choose your watch wisely, but by all means, take advantage. I know there's watches in that store that are like $20,000, and you're like, psh, what's $150 off a $20,000 watch? And I'll tell you this, my friend, if you saw a Benjamin and a 50 on the ground, would you bend over and pick it up? You would? Oh, great. I'm giving you a Benjamin and a 50, and you don't even have to pick anything up. You just have to type the code MATT150 in your checkout cart when you buy your watch. That's it. $150 from me to you. CrownandCaliber.com. And also, Beeline Coffee Company. They support us with the caffeine. That's why I'm so full of energy during these ad reads, because I'm drinking the Smoking Tire Roast. I love it. We got Weiss Watch Company Roast. Me and Cameron, both sides of this podcast, have our own roasts at Beeline. It is so gangster. They have espresso now as well as just their normal coffee beans. So if you're an espresso kind of person, get on that and use code CHRONO, CHRONO, code CHRONO to get 15% off anything in the Beeline Coffee store. These coffees are delicious, single origin, high-end roast. This is not your average gas station coffee. It's not your Starbucks coffee. It's not even like your medium to high-end hipstery kind of coffee. It's above medium to high-end hipstery. Only the most hipster places and the most coffee nerd places would sell beans like this. They're not cheap, but I'm making them a little cheaper for you. Code CHRONO, 15% off any of the delicious roasts from the Beeline Coffee store at BeelineCoffee.com. And now, this episode is going to be super fun. I won't overword it before we get into it, but it's a high-dollar episode. We're talking about complications, and we've got some really, really neat watches to show off that Crown & Caliber has sent us. We found even more online, and funny, weird complications. Some of them I don't even fully understand, but Cameron does a great job of explaining it. Here we go. How about some complications on Watch and Listen? Hello, folks. What's happening? Watch and Listen podcast, episode 7. We're here. Matt Farah, Cameron Weiss in the house. Put your headphones on, brother. Today, it's a good day. Last week, as far as you're concerned, 5 minutes ago, as far as we're concerned,
yeah,
we talked about cheap watches. We went through a host of them, and I hope you guys, if there's other cheap watches you want to see on the show, you comment, or you get at us, Suggest watches for the cheap watches segment. Preferably comment on the YouTube video or something, actually. Don't start just emailing me with watches. But speaking of all those things, make sure you check us out on Instagram. I am the Smoking Tire on Instagram. Cameron is Weiss Watch Company on Instagram, or Cameron M. Weiss on Instagram. And then where can you get the show? Well, you can get it on ShoutEngine.com/watch and listen. You can also get it on YouTube by searching for Watch and Listen Podcast, or finding on my social media channels. Or Cameron, your wife does a fantastic job of spreading the love on your social media.
She does.
Whitney Weiss, you really PR the fuck out of this podcast. So thank you. Thank our sponsor, the Crown and Caliber. They got, look at that, Valentine's Day sale. Good for them. And here we are. Today, it's going the other way. We're not doing cheap watches today. We're doing expensive watches today.
Yeah.
Boy. But not expensive for expensive's sake. This is hoterology.
Yeah. Well, after what we saw last week, this feels really expensive. But it really, in the scheme of high-end watchmaking, this is not that expensive.
Right. Which is, you can't like talk about these without sounding kind of snobby, because like anyone who's ever looked at a luxury watch site knows you could spend $50 or $60 or $80,000, but that doesn't mean when you're holding something that's 15 doesn't feel like a lot. More importantly, these watches are all complicated watches. Yeah, that's why we're here. Cameron, my friend, take us back to the beginning. Not necessarily a history lesson, but the basics. What is a complication? What is a complicated watch? Why would we want one? What are they about?
Well, a complication is really anything that goes over and above standard timekeeping.
Where does standard timekeeping start? Just hours and minutes, or seconds as well?
I consider standard timekeeping to just be hours, minutes, secondhand.
Okay.
That's really it. That's where a basic timepiece begins.
And that's pretty much everything we showed last week.
Yeah.
And actually, look, in other episodes we've shown some extremely basic watches that were extremely expensive, like the Patek Philippe Calatrava, which was like $5,000 or $6,000 and only had two hands.
Yeah, they don't even have the second hand on those.
So, but the complications. Okay, so anything beyond just your basic time telling. What are some of the most common ones?
Really common is going to be a date.
A date?
A date, or a second time zone GMT 24-hour kind of.
So it's, another hand showing the 24-hour date wheel. It's one thing that I guess it's on so many watches that you don't even really think about that being like a complication.
Yeah.
And then we have a range of complications to demonstrate. Crown and Caliber really sent us a box with some weird ones and some
cool ones.
We
went well beyond just having a date.
A date. I don't even think we don't have anything that's just the date.
No, everything's more complex than that we have here today.
This is going to be really cool. How do you want to start this?
Well, let's start with let's start with the simplest thing we've got right here.
Okay, simplest thing we've got.
This Mont Blanc.
In Mont Blanc, is that in focus, Cameron? I think
it should be autofocused.
It should be, right? I think it is.
Ooh.
All right, simple watch, relatively straightforward. It's pretty. So this has, tell us what it's got.
Okay, so this, you've got your hour and minute hand, basic stuff. You also have the date on a hand in the subdial there. So the hand actually points, and I'll point to it.
And it just...
This hand rotates, and it will just click around, and it'll show you the different date every day.
And it's just 1 to 31, so presumably on some months you're going to have to reset that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then we've also got in this blue space here a moon phase. Right now, all you could see is stars. That would be a new moon. So you've got no moon appearing there.
And then the moon will just move from left to right, sort of across the sky?
There's a disk behind that has 2 moons on it, and it will just rotate, just like the cycle of the moon, and it will click forward every day.
Do you know what I mean, not necessarily exactly, but I forget. I should know this because it's the Jewish calendar. But what is the rough math?
It's
on the
about 29
lunar calendar?
days.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you've got on top of each other, you've got like a 31-day wheel, but then underneath that is a 29-day wheel on the same thing. So are those wheels just related by a gear?
So you have multiple gears in there, and this watch, the way they accomplish this complication is a different way than more high-end complications. This one has a standard automatic movement, and then they added an additional layer, a module on top that has the moon phase and the date.
So that's actually interesting. That's a good opportunity to talk about adding modules on top. And I think a good watch to do that with is probably the Baume Mercier, right? Because it's that Valjoux movement.
Yeah, this is an additional, and it actually has some of the same stuff going on.
Oh, look at that. Now that you line them up side by side, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
So the Baume Mercier, I think, is an interesting watch that they sent us because this is the most complicated watch you can buy for less than, I think, $10,000. And it's $5,100 for this Baume Mercier. And it has a bunch of complications on it. Including, you got it there, buddy?
Yeah, I'm trying to get rid of those reflections, but these lights, man. Okay, this looks better.
That's pretty good. So you've got day, date, 24-hour, day of the week, day of the month, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But it's turning that thing sideways, Cameron. It's stacked on top of it, so you end up with a watch that's like real thick.
Yeah, essentially this is your standard 7750 movement. And then on the front, there are additional components that bolt onto the main plate there.
And you literally are just stacking is it almost like okay, like think about if you had a factory that was one story and it was like a wheel with a bunch of dudes just walking around in a circle, like slaves or whatever, with a shaft that went up to the second story. And it would be like building another story of building, and then having that shaft upstairs turn another thing, right?
Yeah.
And then it would be like building a third story to the building and continuing the shaft and having that shaft turning another thing.
Yeah, the movement is like your engine, and you're just adding additional things that are running from the power of that engine, which is the movement.
Yeah, so it could be like a car that tows a trailer, and then the
trailer
wheel,
has
trailer has a trailer, and then the trailer's trailer, those wheels have electric motors on them that also turn a generator, and you just keep running things off the power of that first engine.
Yeah.
So that's sort of how that I think works. We just stack it. So then would it be safe to say that the more expensive the watch, or the more complicated the watch, I should say, the thicker it will get. And then the more expensive the complicated watch, the thinner it will get again.
That's true. Yeah,
Right?
I would say that's a fair assessment.
So it's one thing to make a bunch of complications in a watch, right? It's another thing to make a bunch of complications in a watch and then make that watch not be super thick.
Yeah, and in order to do that, it has to be designed with those complications in mind.
Right, from the ground
From
up.
the ground up.
Right.
So that everything integrates, and rather than stacking all the complications on top or stacking them all in one area, you can integrate them throughout the movement to save space.
Right. It all becomes about packaging.
Yeah.
And so the Baume Mercier, to go back to that, is I've been wearing that watch actually for about a week and a half, and I really like it. I got big wrists, as I say every episode, so a thicker, chunkier watch is not bad for me. But if you're a thinner person, that may come off as a bit glunk, blunk, chunky. So the reason it's affordable with all the complications is because the trade-off is that it's kind of thick because they're stacked.
Yeah.
As opposed to arranged, finding a way to arrange them in the same layer, right?
Yeah. Well, if you even just think about, for that Baume Mercier, the number of hands that are coming out of the center of the dial. You've got your hour, you've got your minute, you've got your date, you've also got your chronograph second hand.
Yeah.
So what's that, 4 hands all coming out of the center? So they all have to stack on top of each other and not touch when they rotate.
Oh, that's a good point. Yeah,
so you need spacing between all of that.
Yeah.
So even on the dial side, you have to have a lot of space.
Yeah. I do like that watch a lot, though. I think it's kind of tough to tell time because the some of the hands kind of blend together. They sort of, when you look at it quickly, it's like the chronograph hand and the GMT hand and the minute hand. It's hard to tell them apart.
Yeah, there's a lot of hands, and they're all kind of thin.
Yeah. If they had a little more differentiation between the thickness of the hands, that could be helpful. But in all, I have enjoyed the watch. So that's a good one. So these are our two sort of entry level complicated watches. The Mont Blanc is only $2,000 actually. That's very affordable.
Yeah.
So let's go. I guess we're starting cheap and going up.
Actually, I want to show one thing about these.
Sure. What do you got?
Even with all these complications here, these are the only two watches that have the need of a stylus. So in order to adjust it, we actually have the crown here, and then we also have a little push button here.
For those unaware at this point, the crown is the main knob on the watch, and sometimes there's more than one. But
so you'd set the time using this knob.
I'm so pleased with our new camera.
This
makes this so much
it's already
better.
pulled out.
So much better.
So there you've got your time.
Okay.
And you can set your time.
Yeah.
I'm just going to make sure that I'm not in anywhere that would damage part of the movement.
How do you know if you're in somewhere that would damage part of the movement?
Anywhere around midnight can be
really
bad.
Oh,
yeah.
Because your date is changing, and so more things are engaged.
Yeah. Especially on this one over here, there's a couple of parts of the calendar and the moon phase are advancing at the time between this one has moon phase, but between 10 and like 4 a.m. on this one. Actually, it might even be 8 on this. 8 to 4 a.m. or 10 p.m. to 4 a.m. Avoid changing your time because you can actually damage some parts that are engaged.
Wow. Okay.
So always advance it and go
but
to
if you had to,
the
like,
afternoon.
advance it past the time, if it's 11 o'clock at night and, oh my God, I need to change this thing, advance the time past 11 o'clock. Right?
Yeah, exactly. If you're going to try and set it around 11 o'clock, go past 11 o'clock, set your date so it's the day before, and then advance your hands to the correct time. And your date will skip forward.
When you're in watchmaking school, do you take an entire course on setting these things?
No, we don't actually.
I'm surprised.
Yeah.
I would think you did.
Yeah, it's one of those things that we just kind of learn on the fly. Yeah.
Well, all right. Okay. So what is the pushers on the side show?
So the pusher here on this one is going to advance your moon phase.
Wait, hang on a second. Let me see. Let me see if I can show a little more here, like that. How is that? Yeah, it'll zoom out for you there. Okay, go ahead.
So we'll get the moon to appear here. Yeah, it's just a simple push here.
Click. Oh, so you're advancing the date. Okay.
Yeah,
by clicking, I see. You're pressing it, dunk, 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 and the date's moving forward by 1.
Exactly.
Okay. So you're just eventually going to get the moon to show up, right?
On this,
how many moons will it take?
Move these hands.
This is a tedious activity. I can't wait to see you adjust this perpetual. Honestly.
Oh, the perpetual is simple, actually.
Is it? This is more difficult?
Oh, no, this is definitely not more difficult, but the perpetual is an interesting one. Okay. So then down here, I'm trying to do this without...
Sorry, it's like with a microphone and a thing. This is not actually as easy as it looks.
Now over here we have another pusher on the case for the moon phase.
Okay. Same thing.
So we'll make this moon appear.
Click, 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 click. And it's advancing it one day's worth at a time?
Yes.
Okay.
So now we've got a moon showing up in there. You can see that.
Yeah.
So the way you set the moon phase, you're going to want to look on a calendar and find the previous new moon.
Okay. Which is 0.
Exactly. Okay. So no moon. You find the day that was it was a new moon on that day, and you'll set your date to that day. You will also set your moon so that you do not see it.
I'm learning why people buy Apple Watches now. This is going to be a really frustrating episode.
So once you've got your moon not showing, new moon, and you've got your date on the date that the previous new moon took place.
Yes.
Say it's the 1st was a new moon. So the watch says the 1st, and you do not see a moon. Then you'll just advance your hour hand and minute hand
all the way
to the next, maybe 10 days. You can do it that way. That's the easiest way to set a moon phase.
Okay.
So that you know for sure if you're really a stickler and it's got to be exact.
Yeah.
Or you could just look at the moon and go, oh, it looks about half. And
Well, I
set
mean,
it to about half.
I hate to say it, but like, there's probably a website for setting moon phase watches that just tells you exactly what to set it on right now.
Yeah, but how are you going to visually set it?
Well, that's a good
You're
point.
You're going to be
that's
like,
a good
well,
point.
it's a quarter.
Yeah. You only can tell if it's based on
at zero. If it's all or nothing,
That's
basically,
a good point,
and then
Cameron.
you go from there.
As usual, you have a good point.
Yeah.
All right. So setting a moon, as far as complications that you have to set, is a moon phase kind of the most. The moon phase is the only one where you have to go off watch for some information.
Exactly.
Right?
You have to find a moon phase calendar, or you have to go online. You got to go on the computer to figure it out.
Right. No, all the other complications, assuming you know the date and the actual time, you don't need to go off watch.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Mont Blanc. That's interesting. Speaking of, you want to take a dive into weirdo complication real quick for this one? This is so cool. Please explain. I think you made it hit. Oh God, look at that autofocus. Yes. This is the Memovox.
Yeah.
Memovox.
So this
zoom in on you, Memovox.
Has an alarm function in it, which is
back it up. And did you say an alarm function? And
completely mechanical alarm. It's not gonna ring like your phone or vibrate like your phone. It's not gonna make that annoying noise that the clock makes. This has a nice ring, and it'll actually chime within the case. Yeah.
It goes like ding. Does it sound like an egg timer?
No. It's a lot more than that.
Really?
It's a. We'll make this.
Do you know how to make it do it?
We'll definitely make it
do the sound.
Yeah.
It's actually a beautiful watch.
If I do it up by the microphone,
we'll
catch that.
You'll
right?
catch it. Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
So it's a beautiful watch, and after you make it do the sound, I want to show the coolest thing about it is like the dial and the hands are actually curved at the end. They curve down. Can you make it do the thing?
Oh yeah.
I'm very excited for this. Play. Come on.
Here it's coming.
It's coming. Oh man, it's like school's out for summer. Wow, it's a proper. Wait. I can't tell. I can't tell. Wait. Wow, that's so awesome.
Yeah, it's a proper alarm. It'll really let you know. Yeah.
Hell yeah! It's hard when we're in the studio. Like I couldn't tell what was coming through the microphone and whatnot, but you feel it in your hands. It vibrates just as much as a smartphone vibrates when you get a text. That is
so the case itself. You see how domed the case back is?
Yeah,
that's to make room for those bells that are in there.
That is
so it's not a bell, but it's a spring-loaded hammer that's hitting a chime.
That is
and
so
it's just back and
cool.
forth.
See if you can twist that to show the curvature of the hands. I think there is an angle like right there. You can kind of see at the very end the tips of the hands all bend down towards it. It's so nice.
Yeah.
And can you show how you actually indicate where how to set your alarm there?
Yeah. So you've got two winding mechanisms in here. Actually, you've got one winding mechanism to wind the spring that powers the gong.
Oh, okay. So you have to wind that thing up the same way you'd wind up a mechanical watch.
So it's actually set to the alarm time. So it'll go.
Yeah, you can hear it. Yeah.
So let me change the time here.
So now you've set the time to like night. Okay.
Yeah. So now if I turn this crown in the neutral position,
yeah,
I'm winding the spring.
Okay.
So that we have power in the alarm.
It was making noise because we were on the same minute as the alarm. It was still quote going off. It just ran out of juice. Right. Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
So then I can.
So there's two crowns. The bottom crown is your normal time setting. Everything else crown. Right?
Time and date, and then up here you pull this one out.
Yeah.
and you'll see that inner ring there.
I love when they do concentric
how that
rings
goes
like
in?
that. Yeah, the inner ring is now spinning.
So you set that little hand that's on that disc to where you want the alarm to go off.
And the hour hand will go off there. Like you match that with your hour hand or your minute hand?
That is going to be matched with so the indications on here are every 15 minutes.
Oh, okay.
If you can see that.
I cannot. Wait, which?
So it's not down to the minute. It'll be tough to set it down to the minute.
So wait, you're not setting an alarm for 8 o'clock. You're setting an alarm for 2 hours from now?
No, you're setting an alarm for 8:15, 8 o'clock, 8:30.
What time right now is that thing set to?
So right now it would be set to, I'd have to check and see, go past the AM and PM, but this would be pretty much 1 o'clock.
Okay, all right. So yeah.
Give or take like a little couple minutes.
All right, so maybe I used the wrong words. I just meant that alarm hand. You said it's set to just before 1 o'clock. So
Yeah.
it's roughly in line with your hour hand, meaning like when your hour hand gets to the alarm arrow.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's what I meant.
Because it's not going to go off every hour, so
Right,
it's not
right,
like every
right.
time your minute hand passes.
Right, that's what I meant.
Exactly.
Yeah, okay,
When your
so
hour
it is a
hand-
true alarm clock, not an egg timer.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So when that hour hand gets over here,
yeah.
Oop.
Oh, maybe it has to be engaged.
yeah. Sorry, I
Yeah.
had that crown out.
Cha-ching. That's so awesome.
There you
I
go.
really like that.
So you see what I was saying about
Yeah.
so it's 10 minutes before
Yeah.
1 o'clock.
Yeah,
and
yeah,
that's
yeah.
only because the alarm is only accurate to 15 minutes because of the scale
Yeah.
of the
that's
indices
totally
that are
fine.
on there.
That's extremely legit.
Yeah.
According to the packing invoice, Crown & Caliber has this watch listed for $3,800. I think that's a ton of cool ass watch.
Yeah, I think it's a
For
really cool
$3,800
complication that
That's like a
you never see it. They're
I've
just
never seen
a
another
neat
one like
watch.
this.
Yeah.
It's a little on the small side. I'm gonna put this. How do you open this clasp? It's got a funky clasp. How do you open that?
Just pulls
pull.
open
Oh,
like
you
that,
just
yeah.
pull. That's one of those things I'm afraid of breaking it.
And that's a nice bracelet that's on there. I like the
Is this technically a Jubilee bracelet or is it not? It's like different. Oh, this thing's dope. This is sweet. Really, really nice.
Right?
Good fit. Oh man. These guys, they're gonna have to loan me this one. I think.
Yeah.
That's really cool. I think I would try and find a way to use that alarm clock too.
Yeah.
Really neat complication. I like that. Okay, what's next? Let's go back into normal complications.
normal complications. All
Yeah.
right.
So IWC Portugueser. You want to do that one?
Yeah.
Is it? Am I pronouncing that wrong? It's Portugueser, isn't it?
As far as I know, yeah.
Portugueser.
Portugueser. It sounds. I don't know.
A more common complication is just a calendar, right? And there's different types of calendars.
Yeah.
So we showed day. The Baume Mercier had day and day, month, date, right?
Yeah.
So
So
now-
on this one, it's
Yeah.
not going to know how many days are in each month.
Right. You have to reset it every month.
Yeah.
So what's the bump up from that?
So the next step up is going to be an annual calendar. Sorry, let me get some of these other watches out of the way.
God, move all those
Jeez.
expensive watches
Yeah.
out of the way. This is nice.
So-
this is a classy move right here, this watch.
Right? Beautiful
Yeah.
blue dial.
Yeah. IWC Portugueser. Someone's going to yell at me. It doesn't matter how I say it.
I've
Yeah.
only ever heard Portugueser.
You have? Okay,
Yeah.
cool. Portugueser, annual calendar. So what do you get here with the annual calendar? What makes it an annual calendar?
So this watch will actually correctly finish the month. So if you've got 30 days, 31 days, it's going to know.
What about February?
February, it's not going to know.
Uh-huh.
So February is going to be the only month where you're going to have to fix it.
Okay.
And that's because it's not a perpetual, so it doesn't track the leap year, and February is constantly changing
Right.
depending on whether it's a leap year or not. So
Mm-hmm.
annual calendar will be accurate the whole year except for the end of February.
28th.
Yeah.
Okay. So we've got so it does day, date, month, and it does not do year. That would be awesome.
No.
That's perpetuals only, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And you adjust all of them with one crown knob.
Yeah, and that's one of the impressive things about the IWCs. They've actually designed a system where you can correct it all from one crown instead of having to use
So it has
little stylus
no
and
pushers, no
there's
stylus
no
at all.
pushers on this, just the crown.
It's such a pretty watch.
Yeah.
I really like the polish on everything. It's very, and it's not particularly thick either for being complicated. You turn it sideways, it's not that thick.
I mean,
Actually,
it's a bigger watch.
It's kind of thick.
Yeah. It's definitely a bigger watch, but it's also diameter-wise a pretty large watch, and you can see the movement.
The back is awesome.
It fills the case.
Yeah, there's not a lot of spare space in
No.
there. They've made it a wide movement.
Yeah. And this movement here is the base movement has a special winding mechanism. The Peloton winding mechanism.
What
You
is a
can kinda see it
Peloton
here.
winding mechanism? Wait, hang on. I'm going to play with this. Let me see if I can zoom in even farther.
Ooh, nice.
Ooh, we lose resolution, but we are
Yeah.
very zoomed in now. Okay.
All right, so in here, this is pretty cool because on the newer ones, you've got these ceramic components in the winding mechanism.
Okay.
And essentially it's like a ratchet pawl system that's pushing and pulling on the gear train in the automatic mechanism.
Okay. Meaning, so it's the double direction winding? Is that what you get out of that?
It'll wind in both directions. Let's see if I can do this. It'll be hard to see in the camera, but there are two little arms, little beak-looking arms that are attached to that black wheel.
I want to see this. You might be able to go.
Exposure up.
Yeah.
There we go. Yeah, you can see it now.
There we go. That's not... yeah, all right. That
Okay.
helps, yeah.
So right in here, these little black beaks
Yeah.
right there as well.
Yeah.
Every time this oscillating weight changes directions, one grabs and the other one lets go.
Oh, okay. I got
So
you.
you can actually, if you're holding the watch, it's very hard for me to show it on camera because if I move it, it goes out of focus.
Yeah, yeah.
But as that oscillating weight goes back and forth, you can see these components, and these are ceramic now because this is one of the newer movement versions. So ceramic wheel and ceramic, I don't know the exact
So
name of
ceramic,
these, but
lighter weight,
balls.
less friction, all that good stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. Everything.
Yeah.
It's all watchmaking is the search for avoiding friction, right?
Yeah.
It's the fight
you have-
against friction.
You have such little power to begin with, and then you need to keep time with it.
Yeah.
So you don't want that power to disappear anywhere to friction
Yeah.
before it gets to the balance wheel.
It's so cool. It's so cool, man. That's really, really neat. Let me zoom this back out. And you want to fix the exposure on that too?
Yeah.
It's a really nice watch. So how do you want to show how to set this thing with just one wheel? You think you can do that?
Yeah.
You can do it?
So this, so on this movement, the big thing to remember with these, don't go backwards.
Don't go backwards. That's
Yeah.
just the rule, right? Don't go backwards.
Yeah, not so bad with this one, but the Perpetual do not go backwards
What happens if
So-
you go backwards?
because they're designed to work with this crown, all through the crown. You don't have independence between different parts of the watch. So
They're all linked.
They're all linked.
Okay.
So you don't want to change one when the other one is connected.
What about adjusting the time?
Adjusting the time is fine.
You can adjust
Forward.
even back, not backwards.
Forward is
So
the best
if
way to
you-
go.
If you're in New York and you fly to California, what happens?
So on this is not too bad. But yes, it can become an issue.
It can?
So what they say is you should actually set the time so let's say it's a 4-hour difference. And maybe you're going to be flying in the evening at like midnight. You're taking a red eye.
Yeah.
Okay. You don't want to set backwards and go to the previous day. So you'll actually want to change your watch earlier in the day because you know you're going to be flying later.
Yeah.
So you got to have some foresight
so
there.
daytime before you get to the airport.
Yeah.
for your
So
red
go
eye.
ahead and bump your time up however many hours.
Honestly,
Or-
if you
or
have
back
if you
however
have
many
a
hours.
Perpetual, you've also got a GMT. No one.
You should.
Nobody has.
The Perpetual is not a great traveling companion.
No,
For
right?
that reason.
Yeah.
You don't want to be going back and forth, especially if you're in the evening time. And certain watches you just can't. So your date is going to be wrong. You might be able to get your hour and minute hands to be correct.
Yeah.
But your date's going to be off while you're
So
in
you
this other
leave
location.
you leave that at home on the winder, and you leave the IWC at home.
Yeah.
You bring the GMT. Oh, I just made it worse. You bring the GMT with you, and
Yeah,
All right.
'cause-
So you want to show how to change this thing?
Yeah, so
Right now
you've
we're
got,
showing Tuesday, February 6th, which is today.
Yeah, so now we're going to mess it up. So this is winding right here.
You're just winding
Just winding it.
Okay. Now
So you've got position 1. And
All right. So now you just change the day.
okay. It's hard because I can't see either of the things.
Oh no, I'm sorry. Here, wait. Do you want me to move this over for you?
Let me move my
you want me
mic over here.
Do you want me to help
right?
you? I realize
This is better.
Is
I'll
that
move
better?
my mic so I can
All
see
right.
the watch. There we go.
Oh, there you go.
So we've got, and actually I did this wrong because what you're always going to want to do is move your hands
Yeah.
so you know where you're at.
Okay.
So now I know because the day just jumped.
Yeah.
So I'm at 2 a.m.
2
right now.
a.m. because the day just changed.
So I'm going to want to go down here around like 4 so
4
that
a.m.
the hands are out of the way.
And now all your changes would have been completed.
Yeah,
Right?
and
okay.
all the internal workings have disengaged. You can go back, and then you can set your date.
So yeah.
You see that jumping there? And you can set your day. So this one's pretty simple
That's
because
not so bad.
right?
Yeah, that's not so bad.
So you just have to know that we are AM right now,
Yeah.
and since it's PM here in LA, we're good.
Yeah. Okay.
But let's say it was, I set this a little further and we're a little bit behind. You can always go ahead
Yeah.
and set this to Monday because we're on a Tuesday.
Yeah. And then go forward with the hours. as well.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And what we'll do, and the annoying part is I'm not going to be able to do this because you don't want to go too fast. Things can get
That's
messed
when
up if you go too fast. You can cause damage. But you see now we're in March.
Yes.
So I'm not going to go all the way around to get back to February.
Okay. I'm glad this isn't
All
that
right.
long of a show.
Exactly. So I'm just going to go to the 5th and pretend that it says February. But
Okay.
basically, if you needed to properly set it, you'd have to go all the way around. Through all the days. That's a good reason to have a watch winder.
Oh, so you could put it on the winder and
Yeah.
and make it go faster than normal?
Yeah.
Or just you can?
Well, you wouldn't make it go faster than normal, but it would keep it running.
Yeah.
So that your calendar is correct.
oh,
And
oh,
the
oh,
most you're going to be off is by an hour.
I don't know why for some reason when I heard you say that's why you have a watch winder, I didn't make the jump to so you never have to do this. For some reason my head went to a watch winder will somehow do this job for you, and that's obviously
Yeah.
not true at all. Sorry. I'm occasionally completely drain damaged.
So then you just go around and you will hit right here where you got the change. And boom, you have
Yeah.
the change. And you notice how only the date changed?
Uh-huh.
Because they don't want to strain the movement too much. They have the date change first. And then over here, you see.
They have it change one at a time.
Yeah.
Oh,
Because
okay.
it takes a lot of power
Yeah,
to move
yeah.
those discs.
Yeah.
So
So
they
it
don't wanna
doesn't want you
overload
to
it all
move
at
it.
once.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's how it, so they did some math and they realized that the movement will keep running longer if we only change one disc at a time rather than if we make it do both at the same
Yeah.
time.
Or it might completely stop
Oh yeah, that would
when
be
it
bad.
goes to try to change all 3 discs at once at the end of
Yeah.
the month. It might just overload it
Oh,
completely
that's
and
true.
stop the movement.
Yeah, yeah.
So that's the good way to set a calendar. But we had it right, and now we'll just have to go through.
You had it right and now you ruined it.
Yeah.
Listen, I'm the perpetual. I'm wearing the rest of the month, so you can't if you change it, which I'd like you to do because that's the point of this show. You got to fix it.
I'm not going to change the perpetual because the perpetual, and should we pull the perpetual up? Just
Yeah, let's go
so
to
the
that.
difference?
Before we talk about it though, this watch I hope it came through. Just go put the movement back up. It is so pretty. And let me zoom in to the appropriate amount to really to look at this movement without the resolution looking too shitty. But just wow.
Yeah.
That is so nicely machined. How
Yeah,
much
and
is
it's
this thing? 13.5?
And it's a gorgeous movement. It's got multiple barrels for the long power reserve because we didn't even get into that. It's got the
what does that mean?
8-day power reserve.
That's good.
Yeah,
That's
which
very
is
good.
really nice because even if you don't wear it for a few days and forget about it, it's
Yeah.
not going to unwind, and then you're not going to have to reset it.
Yeah, on a watch that's really annoying
Yeah.
to wind, I think that or to set an 8-day is really
Yeah,
nice.
but
does
really-
does 8-day does that add to your thickness at all, or does that add what dimension would that add to
It
have
adds
a
to the
longer
diameter.
reserve? The diameter
Because you've actually got 2 barrels. One, I'll move the oscillating weight.
Oh, there, yeah, you can see
you
them.
see
yeah,
the
yeah, 1,
2 barrels?
2, yeah.
So they're not stacked on top of each other, so it won't make it thicker.
But in theory, if this watch weren't already sufficiently big, it could make it bigger.
Yeah.
Got it. So that's why I guess a lot of the 8 days that I see are big watches. It's Panerais and
Yep.
what is this, a 43?
This is a 44.
44, yeah.
44.2, I think,
Yeah.
is the
It's big.
size. It's a big watch.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
I guess that's why you see a lot of those like that. Very, very cool. Shall we look at the Perpetual? Perpetual takes the calendar to the next level. This is a next. I got to zoom
And
the
this-
camera
this is a
back
big
out.
watch. We
That's
gotta
a
zoom
big-
out on
I got to
this.
zoom out a little bit. It's a big boy, this watch.
Yeah,
oh,
the
it's
big
also.
pilot.
Yeah, here we go.
Too much exposure?
No. It looks
Okay.
good. This I love the colors of this. This watch, it's something about it just looks right.
Yeah.
It's fucking cool, man. It's like it's one of those that I don't know. It immediately draws you in, but it also is like it's like anti-flash,
Yeah.
you know? So, all right, there's a lot going on this face. So
Yeah. I'm going to go through it real quick. We've got
let
the...
me zoom back in here so we can actually take
Here, I'll
a
move this.
The new camera is so great. Look how
Okay.
clear that is. Oh, I love this shit. Okay.
So
give it-
you've got up at the top, moon phase.
Wait, hang on.
And
You
this...
don't have to move it. I can move it, right?
All right.
Yeah.
So this moon phase here, super accurate.
So
It's-
why are there 2 of them? Do you know?
Yes, it has to do with you wouldn't want to have just one moon because you need to not only have the moon appearing, in the right direction, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
If you just had one moon, it would have to disappear and then somehow magically get to the same position again. So if you have 2 moons, you can have one moon appearing.
Oh,
For
okay.
this one, though, they have 2, and they have a much more accurate. You can actually see the 2 sections there, right?
Yeah.
Whereas on the other one, there's 2 moons on the disc,
And
but
you only
one
saw
is always
one.
hidden.
Right. Oh,
This
so
one, you're seeing both at the same time, and this is a special moon phase that is more accurate. There are more teeth on the wheel, meaning that the difference in lunar
the
cycles...
quote ticks are smaller,
Yeah,
right?
exactly. The
Yeah.
ticks are smaller. So this one, your moon phase, if you set it once, it's good for 577 years. So the great
And what if it's
grandson.
off?
Yeah.
What if it's wrong?
If
What
it's off, then you're never gonna
Oh
know
my
what time
God,
the moon
500
is or what phase the moon is in.
Jesus.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So what next? We've
So
got
then
moon phase. Yeah.
over on the right side,
Uh-huh.
we've got on the inside here is your power reserve. So you've got 7 6.
days. Right.
So you got the 8-day power reserve.
And that's the shorter, stubbier hand
Yeah.
on that one.
yeah.
Okay.
The longer hand out here is pointing to your date. So see 1 through 31.
Yes.
Then down here.
So it's showing the 6th, which thank God these guys set this thing for today.
yeah. If it's behind, it's not a bad thing to set it. It's not tough. The problem is when it's really far behind.
Yeah.
You kind of get in the groove of turning the crown, and then if you
miss.
go one day too far, then you're screwed.
Focus. You have
Yeah.
to focus. And if you'll see, they sent this watch from Atlanta. Like, you haven't had this on a winder, have you?
No.
Yeah.
no.
So they sent this watch in a winder, 4 days ago, and
Yeah.
it's showing it still has 3 days left. So
Yep, still running.
when I put this thing on and start wearing it, there's no interruption really.
Yeah.
Which is super, super cool. Okay, sorry, continue. So you've got your day and you've got your date.
So
and
then down at the bottom here, we've got our month, February.
Yep.
We're good.
Yep.
And then something really cool that other perpetuals typically do not have.
4 digits.
You got 4 digits for your year. Not that really, like the 20, they're not moving. The 20,
the 20 don't move?
they will not move because in the year 2100, you actually send this watch back to IWC
And they put the 21 in?
and they put the 21 in.
Really?
Well, so they'll put the 21 in, and they'll also make a correction because it's not going to account for
free service.
Yeah. Oh, not a free service. Definitely
not.
not. No,
the 21 is 10 G's.
yeah. Yeah. Yeah, to replace that the 20 with a 21 is going to cost you.
Some guy's just going to like chalk it like you did an old driver's license.
Yeah, a little
Wait.
sticker over it.
What did you say the correction was for there?
So with leap years,
Yeah.
because of the Gregorian calendar that we follow, every 400 years, so it's split up into 400 years.
Right.
And it just so happens that 2100,
Yeah.
we will, skip so that there will be no leap year.
Really?
Right? Oh, look this up because I'm
Really?
I'm blanking on
Wait,
whether
hang
it's
on, all right, hang on.
it's every
What do I even look up? What year is there no leap year?
so non-secular.
Yeah.
Gosh, well, basically in the year 2000, there was a leap year,
Yeah.
and then the year 2000, 2100 will not be a leap year. 20
Here, look, right here.
right?
The century years are leap years, but okay, wait, hang on. There is a leap year every year whose number is perfectly divisible by 4, except for years which are both divisible by 100 and not by 400.
Yeah.
So 2100 is divisible, but
Yes,
not by 400.
but not by 400.
Okay.
So
Sure.
in 2100,
Yeah.
there will not be a leap year when there should have been based on the previous rules for leap years, but the Gregorian calendar made the additional correction because we were off just a tiny little bit, just by like minutes a day or whatever, seconds a day. So after that many hundreds of years, you end up off. So there's this correction.
Here we go. Found it, just so you know. I found evidence. We're not talking out of our bums. Highlighted right here. The year 2100 will not be a leap year. Matter of fact, boy, does IWC have their work cut out for
Yeah,
them. 'Cause
in 2200 they'll be
and
busy
23
too.
They better start staffing up.
Yeah.
I don't know if they'll be ready by 2200.
Yeah.
That's all right. There we
So
go.
3 years with no leap year, then 1 year with a leap year when you're dealing with those 100-year values is
That's
basically
crazy.
what happens.
That is crazy.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad that IWC is on this issue.
Yeah.
This they've been around for a pretty long time, right? So they've had
They
time.
have, yeah.
They've had time.
I think they'll be there in 2100
They
to fix
probably will.
these up.
Honestly, if I had to guess what companies will be there in 2100, Rolex, IWC, Panerai. I'm gonna go with I think the cultural shift away from Vacheron and AP towards Panerai will keep them around.
I don't know.
2100.
Vacheron's the oldest operating watchmaker. Continuous operation, I believe.
They'll probably still be around.
Yeah.
They'll all still be around. People
Yeah.
still want this shit. That is extremely cool, Cameron. The what else is there? Anything else on this thing that is?
Yeah, you've also got your day of the week over here
On
the outside dial.
Yeah.
And then the inside dial here has your running seconds.
Second
hand.
hands. That is such a cool watch.
Right?
Just the face of it is the contrast of colors and the legibility. Let me zoom out a little bit. And the size and the thickness. It's got a good heft to it. It's like it feels like heavy and like it feels so dense.
Yeah.
Like there's how many parts are in a watch like that?
Ooh, I didn't look up the part number
I
for
threw a
this one,
curveball
but
at
I would
you.
imagine in this watch you're looking at like 400 parts,
Okay.
400 or 500 parts, something like that.
Let me see if the internet knows how many parts are in the Perpetual Calendar.
And I actually, so on this watch, an interesting thing, IWC, if you're crossing the international date line and you are going to the previous day,
Yes.
the suggestion is to actually set the time back so that you get the date to the correct place because your day is going to the previous day. You set back 12 hours each day for 2 days so that your calendar...
12 hours each day for 2. Yes.
Yeah, so basically at night your calendar's not going to jump forward because you went 12 hours back.
Oh, yeah. Okay, right.
So you're going to take it from PM to AM
Uh-huh.
and you're going to do that twice. That way, after 2 days, you're now on the proper calendar. Whereas your time, your hour and minutes would have been correct the whole time, but your calendar would have been off for a day.
Okay.
And that's just because you cannot take your hands back to the previous day. You will damage it.
All
So
right.
do not run the hands backwards.
Good tip
in
for
setting.
the 12 people that own perpetuals.
Yeah.
Here's a neat graphic I just found on IWC's site. So this one, I guess they have a new one. So look, this one will do year in 4 digits and leap years for the next 577 years. So look, see this one has a 20, 21, and 22 in it.
There you go.
So I don't know if the one that we are showing here is the
This
that we're
one I
showing
don't
here?
believe has that.
Does it looks like a fixed thing, right? If we zoom in here, does that look fixed?
This one I believe is a previous version. Do you
Yeah.
know does that have the movement number on it?
Oh boy, I don't know. This says designed in the early. Let's see, movement number. Movement number. I don't know, but here's an actual picture, which is very, very cool. Wait, pull that up. Come on. Here's a picture of the thing with the 20, 21, and 22 in it.
Yeah.
Sweet.
So that one, the year 2400.
Yeah, they said that's what they said.
Or I guess
year 2400.
Well, really, 2300, because you're not going to have the proper year anymore. Yeah.
Yeah, 2299 is where you're really going to have a problem with this watch.
Replace
so
that
your
disc.
great grandkids are still going to have to deal with this thing.
Yeah.
That would be awesome if your great grandkids were having this thing set. That's like, you're the caretaker. You're not the, So that is a perpetual calendar. Very, very cool. That watch is $22,000. So these complications, they cost money.
But that's a reasonable price considering a lot of the Patek, Vacheron, AP perpetual calendar watches are going to be around $60,000, $70,000.
Yeah, and you can go up. I mean, I've seen stuff that's $1 million. If you really want the Grand Complication. We'll finish this episode on Grand Complication. We don't have one here, but let's go. We got 1, 2, 3 more very interesting watches. This one I want to talk about.
Okay, yeah.
Because this is hot. Everybody wants to get a piece of.
Whoa.
Oh, we're still too zoomed in. I'm sorry. Everybody wants a piece of the Sky Dweller.
Yeah.
The Rolex Sky Dweller. That's how it's supposed to look. This one is it's not my favorite combination of the two-tone gold and steel, but
What is it? Rollosaur?
Rolex likes to make up their own names for things, don't they?
Yes, they do.
Rollstar. But this is Rolex's most complicated watch. I think the Yachtmaster is more maybe. I thought they advertised this as being the most complicated.
Yeah, it is the most complicated. It's not necessarily the most complicated movement, but as far as complications in watches go, this is the most complicated.
It's so cool. This watch it hides the complications actually.
Yeah.
My favorite thing about this watch, I love the design of the ring within a ring. But what I really like is this what is the term for this? Fluted bezel? Is that what you call this? With the design of this bezel?
Fluted bezel.
Fluted? I used the right term.
Yeah.
I would say it looks like a pie plate, inverse pie plate bezel. That's what it looks like to me.
Yeah.
But you actually can turn that ring to access different functions of the
and they call that the ring command bezel, I think.
Ring commander.
Yeah.
It's the ring command bezel. But it's really cool. So this watch does day, and it also has a second time zone here, a GMT time zone, in this ring of numbers in the middle, and right below the word Rolex at the top is a little triangle, and that indicates the time that you're seeing. So you're at 22 and change, so you're looking at 10:15 or so p.m. on the GMT side here. Oh, actually, probably 10:23 or whatever.
Yep.
It's probably where the minutes
Yeah, because
are.
it doesn't have an independent minute hand.
Yeah, and then you have a date. So those are your 3 main functions: time, date, and then your GMT 24-hour clock. So do you want to show how to change them?
So, well, you've actually also got what makes it the annual calendar up here.
I forgot about that.
That little red dot above the index.
I blanked. That is an annual calendar showing month. So here's January is 1, February is 2. So the red dot moves around, and there it is.
Yeah.
It's so cool.
So let me do this here.
How do we... Oh, this one I don't have to wear, so you can mess it all up.
Screw down crown.
I like it because that means it's going to be waterproof or
Yeah.
water resistant at least.
Yeah, water resistant.
You can. I mean, it's nice to have a watch that if you jump in the pool or wear it in the shower,
Yeah, you won't have an issue.
You won't have an issue.
So we pulled the crown out one click, and then we will go over here.
So there's 3 positions on the bezel.
So you've got your neutral is all the way to the right or clockwise.
Yeah.
And you feel it just stops. So then you've got one real good click there.
Yeah.
Another click.
And then there's a third click.
And then a third click.
Yeah.
So here you're going to be able, if I remember correctly, you're going to be able to set your time here. And with this, you're not going to necessarily want to set your hour hand. You're
setting the minute hand.
You're going to set your minute hand and your GMT. So really you're setting your GMT hour here.
Yeah. So
to
you
where
set
you
that
want it.
to like, okay, let's say, right now it's 4:25 here in Los Angeles. So let's set the GMT to 4:25 and then presume that I'm flying to New York where it will be 7:25, right? So GMT is going to be my home.
You're going to go to 7 right here on the GMT and then go to 25.
Right.
So now your second time zone is set.
Yep.
And if you were good, you could just close that up. But
right.
What we'll do is we will go back here. We will
one click
over one.
Yeah.
Right? And you can always just go back to the right to make sure you're in the right spot.
2. Now we're in position 2.
So in position 2, we are now going to have independent hours.
So now you just quick set that to 4.
Exactly. And also, this will change your date, too.
Oh, the quick set hours will change
you see
the
now?
date. Oh, yeah, there you go.
We're going to pop
now
over in the date.
Yep, okay.
But you see the hour hand always pops to where it should be. So you want this at 4 p.m. or?
Well, yeah, I was saying that if we're setting the GMT hand to New York time right now, which would be 7:25 p.m., the LA time would be 4. That's where I wanted to put that. So yeah. So now you're showing true dual time zones.
Exactly. So from here, let's see.
And then you just spin the ring back, right?
So this would, if you were done setting, you could just spin the ring all the way back.
And then what's the ring position? The bezel, bezel position 1. Yeah, what is that?
So position 1 is going to be
just your date.
Just your date, and you can go forward and back. You see, forward and back.
See,
no
this
problem.
is nice. You can go forward. You can go both directions.
The only thing you don't want to do is same thing up around. I think for this is going to be 10 to 2.
Mm-hmm.
You're not going to want to mess with your date. But since we're not there, we're at 4 p.m.
And your month just went back to January there.
Exactly.
So if you go forward again, you can see the red dot moved back to February. There it is. Today's the 6th. There you go.
So now we're at the 6th. So we can put our ring command bezel. I love saying that.
I know.
Right? The ring command bezel back to the neutral position.
This watch is so dope.
Press the crown in.
love this watch. It's so awesome. This is like the ultimate GMT watch, I think.
Yeah.
As someone who has 2 GMTs, let me see this fucking thing.
Right? I just love that bezel.
The bezel is awesome, and it's especially this one with the gold. It's got a nice weight to it. It's good and heavy. Oh, this looks good on me, folks.
Now even the steel one has gold. It has a gold bezel.
White gold.
Yeah, white gold.
I want the steel one. This is a little much for me, but I want the steel one so badly. That is very hot. I also like what's really nice about this watch is they have the glide lock clasp, which I like, and they have show it sort of on its side a bit. They have, compared to like a Submariner or a GMT, they've really like rounded off the sides of the case.
Yeah.
Which, it's not that it's better or worse. I just think it's got a really nice, smooth kind of slickness to it.
Yeah.
It's really cool. Yeah. It's well polished. It's everything's really nicely polished. My fingerprint. My fingerprint looks awful on the clasp.
Yeah.
Yeah. Really,
but these clasps are really nice.
Yeah.
This area right here in the front is actually spring loaded. You see how that pops in there like that?
Yeah.
Just really nice.
I'm so pleased with our camera setup, being able to show this stuff now. That was a great $100, that camera.
Yeah.
Really well spent $100. God, the Sky Dweller. It's going to pain me to send that one back. $17,500 for this guy at Crown & Caliber.
Wow.
And this one is a lightly used one as well. These are like, they're unobtainium. You cannot get them.
Yeah.
You can find them secondhand now in the gold, but like nobody's got a stainless steel. And if they do, the stainless steels are worth more than the gold.
Yeah, I think the stainless price is like 14 or 15.
The MSRP is 14 or 15.
Yeah.
People want 23 for them.
Oh my gosh.
It's crazy. It's so crazy.
Wow.
But unlike the Daytona, you can actually tell the time on it. So
Yeah.
I understand why. We have 2 more watches to show you, and I'm excited. That one, you know a lot about this one, right? You want to do this one?
Yeah, let's do this
And
one.
then we'll end on the weirdo and then the Grand Complication. Oh wait, I didn't even show the animation.
Oh, perfect.
Rolex helped us with this. Not helped us, but they made a little animation here. On
They
their
didn't have us in
Instagram.
mind when they made the animation.
They made it on their Instagram that shows you kind of how the whole thing works. And actually, they're using the same watch we've got in studio here. So they show you. You animate. You pull the crown out to the position. You spin the ring. It shows you the 3 clicks. This is actually a super good instructional video on Rolex's Instagram page.
Yeah. It's not a very intuitive watch. If you just got it and tried to set it, you might have some problems.
No, but honestly, I watched this 40-second Instagram video
Right.
and it made 100% sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. Very cool, right?
Yeah.
And now here, so you set your reference time. I like whoever made this video. Is very cool. Sweet. So yeah, it goes on like that. So if you happen to have a Sky Dweller, need to know how to set it. There you go. I just wanted to show that because I thought that was really, really nice. Wait, close out some of these tabs. All right, what do you got? What do you got for us here, Cameron? Because
all right, this one, this is probably my favorite watch of the bunch here.
really,
Yeah,
well, tell me why.
it is.
Here, let's pull it up. Nope. Get it in there.
Oh, sorry about that.
When it's not centered, it's like anticlimactic. Can you turn down the exposure a little bit?
Yeah, let's do
There it
this.
is. Now we're looking at it. That's
Okay.
nice. Yeah. What a pretty watch.
Right, and
What is it?
It looks like a lot is happening, but it's just time and a chronograph.
Really?
That's it.
Okay. Well, so what's this thing called? I can't pronounce it. It's
So this is the what is it? The Duometre chronograph.
yeah, Duometre chronograph.
Duometre chronograph.
Yeah.
And it's a JLC Duometre.
Oh, from now on, only you say it.
So this is an interesting watch because they actually took the time and separated the time power from the chronograph and the chronograph power. So the chronograph has its own barrel and gear train.
Which you can see here on the upper right side,
Mm-hmm.
sort of in the 1/3 area.
And the time has its own barrel and gear train.
On the top left.
Yeah.
And then
so
what's in the lower center here? Seconds?
the lower center is going to be part of your chronograph. So what
Okay.
they do on chronograph watches, and a lot of complications, they'll match the hands to the function. So you'll notice this watch has rose gold hands for the time telling, and it has blue steel hands for the chronograph.
Okay.
So any blue hand on this dial is related to your chronograph. Any rose gold
being
hand is
colorblind.
time.
I'm colorblind. Can't see any of this stuff. But now that you pointed out, I can. Okay, yeah.
So you've got time on the left hand here,
Uh-huh.
hour and minute, and this hand that's running around right now, that's your second hand.
Standard second hand. Yep.
Standard second hand, which is also super unique because the standard second hand is in the center as well as your chronograph second hand. So it almost looks like a split chronograph, which it's not, but it will look like it.
Because you'll have two second
Because you have
hands
two
running.
center second hands running.
Cool.
Then
A split chronograph, for the record, is two chronographs at once, right?
Yeah,
That's gangster.
yeah.
Okay.
So at the bottom here, hard to see because of the
Right, no.
skeletonized
Let
opening
me,
here.
Let me zoom in using our advanced technology.
There you go. So right down here, we have a hand that shows the power reserve
So that looks
for
like a...
the chronograph.
Oh.
So it's 0 to 50. Wow. So this
What
is
do you
getting
think 50
low.
is? 50 minutes?
50 hours.
50 hours
Yeah.
of chronograph.
Yeah, so you've
Oh,
got 50
okay.
hours of chronograph and you
Uh-huh.
have 50 hours of timekeeping over here.
Wow, that's
So both are pretty
cool.
low. And there's a manual wind watch.
Fully manual wind.
I'm gonna start
Wait,
winding.
hang on. Don't.
Oop.
Anything worth doing is worth doing on video. Let me make this a shot worth viewing. Okay, go.
So if you wind the crown in one direction, you will wind one barrel.
Oh wait, now you make me want to zoom back in.
I know, that's why I was doing it earlier.
I'm sorry. Okay.
So wind.
You're winding, and which barrel are you winding right now?
It looks like I'm.
Looks like you're winding left. You're
Yes.
winding time-telling barrel.
So I'm going clockwise right now, and it winds up the barrel for the going train that's attached to your hour and minute hands.
Okay.
If I go the other direction counterclockwise, you're going to
look
see
at
the
that. You're winding
chronograph
up
winds
the
up.
other one.
Yeah.
Wow.
So
So you got to do a whole ton of winds in one way and then a whole ton of winds. Or is it better to
could
go
do- you could do back and
rocket,
forth and
back
rocket.
and forth? Yeah.
it's a little more wear and tear on the movement because
To
we'll flip
rock
it
it?
around, and I'm going
Yeah.
to show you the winding.
Dude, look
So
at the
check this-
wait, hang
this
on, let me
movement
zoom
out. It's
a little
gorgeous.
bit because this movement is staggeringly pretty. Fuck, look at that.
German silver bridges.
That's so cool.
So they have a little bit of a kind of a goldish
Yeah.
hue to them instead of being a bright white silver. And German silver is just a nickel silver alloy.
It's not nickel silver.
It's
alloy.
not actually a silver. It's just named that.
Huh.
I'm not sure what the exact makeup is, but there's a
No,
lot of
this
nickel
is
in it.
German silver. No, so it's silver. No, it's German silver. But is it silver? Yes,
Yeah.
German silver.
If we pull up nickel silver on the internet, you'll be able to see exactly what the composition of the alloy is.
Okay, I'll look for that. You continue.
And so over here on the camera, I've got, if I spin one direction, you'll see the barrels are moving in such a way that one winds, and then if I turn it the other way, the other one's winding. Wow. So
Dude,
I think
this
it's just
is
a gorgeous watch.
How old is this watch? Is this a current? Is this a current watch or is this a vintage watch? I didn't look, unfortunately.
This, I believe, was a limited production. I don't know how many they made.
I bet you it says it on the back of it.
I don't know if it's current.
We're gonna have to look that up. So nickel silver is 60% copper, 20% nickel, and 20% zinc.
Yeah. So I believe it's like a brass, but they replace the but there's a higher nickel content in there.
It's very pretty. Wow, I like that very much.
Right?
That's
beautiful movement.
I mean, it's a really value priced at $26,000.
Yeah, and also it's a mono pusher chronograph, so there's another complication on there.
What does that?
Single
what does
pusher.
that mean?
Everything's operated through one pusher.
How does that work?
So you have start, stop, and reset in the one pusher.
Yes. Okay. So start it.
And there we go.
I love the fast second hand. Is that
so? That's actually a sixth of a second.
good?
So you can time something down to 1/6 of a second. So you see the blue second hand is rotating around from the center.
Yeah.
At the same time as the regular timekeeping second hand is going.
So cool, man.
But they're independently powered by different barrels. So
but they're coaxial and yet independently bound.
Yeah, exactly.
That's so crazy. And then so stop it now. And then the third press resets. Wow. That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I think didn't you say in one of our previous shows that the chronograph is like the most quote abusive of the complications?
Abusive, like hard to make, or
Like it's just
tough
hard,
on the watch.
Tough on the watch.
It can be very hard on the watch. The reset of a chronograph is really hard on the watch.
Oh, that brings up an interesting one for me. I wanted to show this. This is so cool. Wait, it's a weird website.
Bouncing around.
It bounces around. Watch, I'm going to move the mouse over this, and it's going to bounce it around. This is a Ulysse Nardin Marine Regatta. And I saw this watch when I went to the Ulysse Nardin factory in person. And this is one of the coolest chronograph complications that I have seen ever. So in a Marine Regatta watch, whether you're talking about the Rolex Yachtmaster or any watch that's a sailing focused watch, the way you start a sailing race is by a countdown from 10 minutes to 0, during which time all the boats jockey back and forth for position on one side of the starting line. And you use this time to maneuver while the time ticks down, and then a gun goes off and you can cross the line and you start the race. And the idea being you want to get your boat in the correct position, going the correct direction, with the right amount of wind and the right amount of sail, right when that thing hits 0. And if you're the one that's the captain of the boat, presumably you got a lot of shit to do right at that moment when that gun goes off. Okay, so what does that have to do with the watch? Well, you set your watch in the center of this watch. You see it, it's got normal time and it's got date and it's got a smaller second hand. It's got a normal second hand and a chronograph second hand. And then it has a countdown clock from 10 to 0. So you can set this clock at 10, start it right when, because they'll hit a gun that's like on the ship's horn. It's like, mer, mer, mer. The 3 horns means 10, mer, mer. 2 horns means 5, mer. So you can set your watch by that, right? So you set it to the 10 and you hit go when they blow the 10-minute horn. You maneuver and the second hand goes backwards and counts down from 10 to 0. The second hand going backwards while that 10 thing is counting down. It then, when it gets to 0, turns around and goes the other way and automatically starts counting up and becomes a chronograph. It counts down to up. That is the most gangster. When he demonstrated that the movement of it doing, everyone in the room went, "Whoa!"
Yeah,
So,
when it changes directions, I can
when it
imagine.
changes directions, you're like, "What just happened? That's so crazy." So that's an interesting as far as chronographs is the regatta complication, which you also see in Rolex Yachtmaster.
Yeah.
I think are we out of watch? We got one.
No, we've got
more.
one more, which is
So Franck Muller,
yeah.
as the self-proclaimed king of complications, right? Isn't that what he goes by? The king of complications?
Yeah.
He calls himself the king of complications.
A master of complications.
Master of complications.
Yeah.
Does it say it on that watch?
It's engraved in the back.
It's engraved on the, pull this thing up. So this is going to be there.
Master
it is.
of
Master of
Complications.
complications. This is a weird watch. This is called the Franck Muller Secret Hours. And hang on.
Might have to zoom out for
I'm gonna
this
zoom.
one.
I gotta zoom out a little bit. Sorry. If we were real professionals, I would just,
right.
I would do this beforehand, but we're not. So here is this Franck Muller Secret Hours, and what's really cool about this watch is it hides the time.
Yeah.
If you look at the watch, it's showing noon, but it is not noon.
Yeah.
And to show the time, you press the button on the side, and shazam! There's the time, 4:41 p.m., and you let it go. Franck Muller comes up with some complications that make no sense whatsoever, and it is so great. I don't know what is it. Wait, what is it about? What is it about this watch? Who are you hiding the time from?
Right.
If you're like,
It's just fun because you get to. I think it's fun because you interact with your watch instead of just looking at it. You get to
That's
hit the button
true.
and they jump and.
that's true.
And who knows? Maybe it is kind of exciting if you really did wear it and you didn't know what time it was, and then you hit the button and you go.
I've lost
all
track
right."
of the time, and so is my watch.
Yeah.
I really, really like Franck Muller watches a lot. I've been told by a bunch of people not to buy them because they're bad investments and lose money. But I think first off, the whole case is curved.
Yeah.
So it sits on your wrist nice and flush, which
Yeah.
I really like. And I love the Salvador Dali looking hands on this one. So he makes some more normal watches, and then he makes a chronograph, and he makes a skeleton one, and a carbon fiber one, and a ceramic one, and all his other crazy stuff. But he also makes some really, really wonky movements. So the hidden hour or the secret hours is a good one. But look at this one I'm gonna pull up. This is called the crazy hours. And the crazy hours, for those of you who are looking at the screen, you'll know exactly what I mean. For those of you listening, the hours aren't in order. If starting at the 12 o'clock position, okay, it goes 8, 1, 6, 11, 4, 9, 2, 7, 12, 5, 10, 3, 8. What the fuck? And believe it or not, the hands jump around too. The hands will point at the correct time even though it's not in order. So the hour hand has this crazy ass algorithm that just jumps around. How cool is this? Have you ever seen one of these in person, Cameron?
I have seen a fake one in person. I have never seen a real one in person.
Now, that's interesting. You've seen a fake one in person.
Yeah, and the reason I saw a fake one in person is because another watchmaker bought one so that he could take it apart and see how they were making it jump around in the fake version.
Just, okay. So he's like,
obviously, you don't want to buy the original real one and
take
destroy
it apart.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure these are expensive. These crazy hours. What do these things go for? Do you know?
I think most of them are in precious metal cases, so they're pretty pricey. Maybe $17,000.
Okay. Yeah. So a watchmaker bought a fake and took it apart because there was like, how is this fake doing the crazy Franck Muller thing?
Yeah, just to see the mechanism and see how it was jumping around. So I had a chance to take a look at that.
What did they find?
It's star wheels and springs, and so these wheels that are shaped in a certain way will essentially turn and advance another wheel, and you can have wheels that don't have specific numbers of teeth in a uniform fashion.
Oh, an irregular.
So it would almost be like a cam instead of a wheel, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
you could probably pull up.
I have a picture of this. This is in theory a
type
picture.
in Crazy Hours
movement.
Crazy Hours movement or module.
Okay.
See if we can get a picture of the front of that movement, because then you'd actually be able to see what I'm talking about. But essentially, you have kind of like the Perpetual Calendar, where it can advance the days more than one day, depending on the month.
Okay, wait. Say that again. What?
So on a Perpetual Calendar, it will advance at midnight.
Yeah.
If you are in a month that has 30 days,
yes,
it's going to advance the days twice.
Right. Okay.
In one turn.
Okay, I got you. Yeah. Oh, okay. This is not a good picture.
And that's not the right one.
It's not.
Either,
Oh, okay. All right. Sorry. I'm trying to find a picture of the movement. It's not actually. Was it that?
Nope.
Okay.
Yeah, but essentially, it's a system of cams and wheels that allow the hands to basically jump forward instead of just rotating forward.
Right. Okay.
So it's actually locking and unlocking into new positions as the hours change.
Wow, there are not really any pictures of this movement on the internet. I mean, there's a couple of the back, but nothing really of the front. It's super cool. The story that I heard about the Crazy Hours movement is that Franck Muller himself licensed the movement to the fakers. That was the story that I heard, that rather than have them just figure it out and steal it, which he figured that they would do anyway, he just took their money and licensed it to them. And the story I was told is that he makes more money licensing the movement than he does selling the watches, which good for him.
Yeah.
Genius. That is the end of that. However, there are two other watches. Which brand would you like to explore for Grand Complications?
Grand Complication, Audemars Piguet.
All right. Audemars Piguet, Grand Complication, coming right up. What do you think? Maybe
so
here?
Audemars Piguet actually has made at least one Grand Complication since they started making Grand Complications, and every single year have made at least one.
Okay, so let's explore what is a Grand Complication. And here you go. This is a skeletonized, right? Is this a good picture to start with?
This is a skeleton, or well, somewhat skeletonized. Really, it's like open worked on the dial. It's got a sapphire dial, so you can see the mechanism underneath.
What is the difference between open worked and skeletonized? Is there a difference, really?
Skeletonized means you're cutting through the bridges to expose more of the movement parts.
Oh, okay.
There's no bridges that would cover those.
You just
only
don't have
the
a
dial.
base dial.
Yeah, so the dial's not covering it, so it's more open worked just to present the parts.
Gotcha.
As opposed to being skeletonized where you change the parts so you can see through them.
Gotcha. Okay, so I mean, this watch, it has a bunch of stuff going on, but what makes it a Grand Complication? Because I'm not off right at first seeing anything that I haven't seen before.
So you need the additional timing complication with a split second chronograph.
Okay.
You need the complex calendar complication.
Complex is perpetual?
Meaning the perpetual.
Okay.
So one thing you have to know about the Grand Complication is that it's not like you don't really. There's no set spot where it's like, oh, this is a Grand Complication.
Okay, all right.
So
there's
it's kind of
there's
loose.
no
It's a
specific
sliding
set of
scale.
regulations.
Yeah. So you
more of an ethos and
exactly.
a price point than anything else.
So in general, it's going to be a split-second chronograph. It's going to be your perpetual calendar. It's going to be automatic mechanism as well. And then the big one that you don't even see anything having to do with those parts, the minute repeater. So some kind of chiming function.
Does the alarm watch that we showed up? That's not a minute repeater because that's a separate setting with an alarm, right? That doesn't count.
It's not a minute repeater, and it's not in the repeater category. It is a chiming watch, but not in the repeater category.
Minute repeater is a weird term if you don't break it down and know what it means.
Yeah. So the minute repeater will literally repeat the time to you audibly,
yeah,
down to the minute. So you'll hear other people say quarter repeaters,
and it will do it on command. It will do
on
it
command.
Okay, so you press a button.
Yeah, there's actually a slide, which is just a lever on the side of the watch that you pull down and release. And that slide, once you've released it, will actually allow some wheels to move. And there's mechanical memory in there. It will sense where the hands are. And it will then tell you down to the minute with two distinct chiming noises. One is
if it's 4:05, it will go dung 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 ding 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 like that.
Yes, and so you've also got the high and low.
I dinged the wrong number of times. Whatever.
Yeah, so you've got a high and a low pitch, and you're going to have one for your hours, one for your minutes, and a high and low together. Like a ding dong, something like that, will sound off your quarter hours.
Okay.
So that's a pretty serious complication on its own. But when you combine that with a split-second chronograph, and a perpetual calendar, if you thought this IWC perpetual calendar was complex, if you then put it with these two other things, it is insane.
These one of my favorite pictures.
Of components.
Yeah, one of my favorite pictures ever is, I gotta find it. Hang on, exploded. Yeah, look at this. Is this AP? It is, right? Yeah,
that is.
Here is the AP Grand Complication. It's not extremely high resolution, and for that I apologize. But just so you get an idea, the exploded view of the Grand Complication, which I think was what, like 1,500 pieces or 1,600 pieces or something.
Yeah, it's about 1,500 pieces.
And so, what happens if one of these things stops working?
If one of these stops working, it goes back to the original watchmaker.
Like the guy. Like this was made by a guy named Laurent.
Yeah, this one was Antoine's watch, and it goes back to him. He knows all of the little adjustments because each one is unique.
What happens when Antoine retires?
So they'll have I don't know this for sure, but I would imagine they have a pamphlet that relates just.
Antoine
I know that simplifies it.
There's like a piece of toilet paper somewhere that there's like a
he has a sticky note with your name on it, your number,
red wine stain, and like some ash.
So they have their records of exactly what they did to make this watch work. Anything that's slightly different or a little odd,
right?
Because it's all hand tuned. So these parts will be machined. It's a one of one.
So like even if like you Russian oligarch Cameron Weiss have a Grand Complication and me Prince of Dubai have a Grand Complication, like they're not the same.
Yeah,
and
the parts will not always be identical.
No.
Everything is tuned differently. The parts will be machined and then finished by that watchmaker so that everything works. The dates all advance properly. The springs all have the right tension.
Crazy.
The chiming noise is done by one person so that it chimes properly and they get the proper note so that it sounds beautiful.
That's definitely Antoine's chime. I know that chime anywhere.
Yeah.
Wow. So
very particular.
What? God, I don't even. What is a Grand Complication cost?
Around $700,000 to. They can go up from there, millions.
Damn.
Yeah.
Damn. That is fire.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Well, I think that is a pretty solid cross-section of complications. I'm about
I'd say
that.
so, yeah.
I think that's a good episode right there. Let's plug it out real quick. Weiss Watch Company. This man doesn't just talk about watches, he makes watches. And you can follow along at Weiss Watch Company on Instagram, weisswatchcompany.com. And I would recommend you do what I did and just buy one from him. Because here's why I tell you should buy a watch from him. Because pretty soon, he's going to be so famous and so busy and so successful that he won't be able to make them himself. He'll have to hire people to put them together. And the one you want is the one Cameron made. That's the one I want. Hit me up on Instagram, The Smoking Tire. Watch my car show, The Smoking Tire. If you're here, you've probably heard of that. And, of course, thank you to... Yep, find us on ShoutEngine. Also, iTunes, Google Play, YouTube, the video version. I imagine you've probably realized that the video version does actually help. And our sponsors, Crown & Caliber and Beeline Coffee, thank you very much. We are on ShoutEngine. You can get your own podcast at shoutengine.com. Anything else to add, Cameron? As usual, a man of many words. That's like a scene out of Major
I'm all
League.
perpetual calendared out now.
You're perpetual counting out. I'm so tired of complications. All right, we'll be back with another episode of Watch and Listen next week. Thank you all for being here. Good night.